Hindu Messiah on the rise in the United Kingdom, where after the recent incidents in Leicester, there was huge ruckus in Birmingham and Smethwick. What we are saying is that the authorities, the cause for concern is the authorities, the administration, the cops seem to be leaving these rabble-rousers, these protesters unchecked. Now, after Leicester and Smethwick, where Hindu communities and temples were targeted, threats and intimidation have also been reported in the city of Birmingham. Remember that even the ruckus in Leicester was reportedly and allegedly done by people who had driven down from Birmingham and started the rabble-rousing in Leicester. A mob of 3,000 Muslims surrounded a Durga temple. Reports suggest many more such as protests are being planned across temples and Hindu establishments and localities where largely it is Hindu population. It is, and it's being planned around Britain. Many police officers have been mobilized to keep the peace, but there seems to be no action to act against these mobs. There have been no arrests or strict action being taken to even clamp down such activities. In Leicester, more than 24 police officers were injured as a result of these protests. Sanjay Suri is with us. Sanjay, you were about thereabouts at around the Durga temple. What happened, and did it look random, or was it clearly organized with a particular motive behind this? Kuldeep Shekhawat ji, director of MATV, is also with us. But Sanjay, go ahead, please.
There was nothing spontaneous about this. This was clearly pre-planned. It was well organized. It was well resourced. And we have several indications. And though the answer is quite obvious, who is behind this? We had a statement put out by the Pakistani High Commission in London and condemning what it said was Hindu violence. What we saw in Smethwick, what I saw in Smethwick when I was there, was absolutely the opposite. And these images have told the story for themselves. You had a huge mob of masked men wearing black clothes and covering their face with black masks who descended on this temple. They tried to scale the walls and people had to be pulled down by the police. They threw firecrackers inside, they threw bottles inside, they shouted abuse, they shouted threats. This has been very intimidating behavior, to the extent that almost nobody at the temple was willing to speak to us on camera because they were afraid that if their images are circulated on social media, then may be targeted individually. This is the extent of fear that has been spread by these mobs. Clearly, this was well organized. There was no spontaneous aspect to this. There was no immediate action that was possibly even a provocation. The people in the mob said they were objecting to a planned visit earlier by Sadhvi Ritambara, but that visit had been cancelled. Not only had it been cancelled, people from the faith groups who had expressed concern were told that it had been cancelled. Yesterday in the day there was a meeting where people were again told that that visit has been cancelled. There was no provocation and still they came. This seems to be a preset plan to try and intimidate and scare Hindu groups, and they have been told that they dare not now invite a leader from India without their permission. So now if any temple were to invite any leader, they'll have to think very carefully, and there is great fear around.
No, but this is deliberately trying to intimidate. Who are these people to decide who can come there or not? If the British government has given a visa, there is no criminal case against a person and there are no charges against a person. Who are they to decide who can come and who cannot come? And who the Hindu community can invite, conduct a session on or not, or who anybody can decide? Who are these people to cancel out somebody or deliberately intimidate somebody, and why should the authorities give such lumpen elements a free run? And clearly with the Pakistan High Commission statement, it shows that this is Pak-backed and deliberately done. We've got information which says that this entire aspect of Hindu Messiah or Hindu hate in Birmingham, sources are telling CNN News 18 that Muslim groups funded by ISI officials in the Pak embassy in London, they are responsible for this. The protests are against Sadhvi Ritambara's UK tour. Nearly 3,000 protesters were mobilized to surround the Durga Mandir. And the Durga Bhawan was forced to cancel Sadhvi Ritambara's visit. Muslim protesters accusing Sadhvi Ritambara of being anti-Muslim and connecting her to Babri Masjid, etc., accused and acquitted in this entire Babri demolition case, but deliberately, despite that, trying to push her. She's a regular to the UK. and she has a valid visa. She's allowed to go there and come there on an invitation. Who are this lot to care? But more importantly, these groups have been supported by pro-Congress group in London. So there is that aspect. A man named Upasak from a pro-Congress group fed details to the Muslim groups. So there is information on that. And that a memorandum will be submitted to the UK authorities on these anti-Hindu sentiments and this rising spate of Hindu misya or Hindu hate which is on display. Kuldeep Shekhawat ji, what information do you have? Why are the authorities treating this lot with such kid gloves? Why isn't there a hard crackdown? Why was the Durga temple allowed to be vandalized?
Actually, well, one thing I must correct you. Durga Mandir was not vandalized, but yes, they were intimidated. And actually, it should not have even happened. The authorities at the temple, the members, the trustees, everybody had decided that okay, in the face of hostilities, we will not invite Sadhvi. So this was pre-decided, and then one of the senior priests of Muslim community also came on board, and he did an interview on social media saying that okay, they have withdrawn this invitation and they will not invite her. So it is the end of the story. But no, still the people from various parts of Midlands, nobody came from Birmingham itself. Various parts of Midlands turned up there. The number went up to around 3,000. Police had to come in. Police had to put in helicopters in service, and it became a ruckus. So anyway, coming back to why it all has happened, somebody from the so-called Indian community informed these people in Birmingham. Now, as you said, one Mr. Upasak, he is a Congress supporter. Well, that's okay. But it seems he got that information and he must have passed on this information to somebody in the Muslim community and they took it over. So the story is not only anti-India, it is also anti-BJP and anti-Indians. So in all toto, the whole story has come to a situation whereby now the Indian community here is saying in very clear terms, I'll quote in Hindi, क्या हम उनसे डरते हैं? So that is what is going on at this moment of time. Today we have called a meeting of National Council of Hindu Temples. We'll write to the police commissioner, we will write to the local authorities, and we will also write to the Home Secretary. So let us see what comes out of that. And then one meeting has been decided to go and see Sohela Berman herself, so that some sense can prevail on them that these kind of issues cannot be brought in UK. The UK community should not be doing something like this, and this should not be allowed to happen. So let us see what comes out of it. But as of now, Leicester has gone a bit silent. But Birmingham yesterday was very eruptive, and it carried on till 9 p.m.
No, but sir, they have got no business throwing in crackers and bottles into the temple premises. That is an act of disrespect outright, and that should be punishable by law. Nobody has a business to stand on top of the walls and try and brazenly intimidate, and they should not be allowed to think they can get away with it. If the Hindu community and of course the local administration and the politicians have to wake up that these are people who have the right to practice their religion, they have got the right to liberty, they have got the right to call whoever they want to call for a session or a sermon. Nobody is somebody to tell somebody you cannot call somebody. Who are these people to go ahead and dictate terms? That's an open question that